Episode of our tutorial. All right, for this time we'll be starting with our basic pattern. It's a simple gown but stylish in a way. All right, so now to draw this pattern, we start with our shoulder. This is our shoulder line. This is up bust. This bust line, under bust, waistline, hip line, and the full length. All right, so let us dive into it fully. So I'll start with my shoulder. Shoulder of 15 inches divided by 2, that is 7.5 inch. So plus half inch sewing allowance, we have 8 inches. All right. And we are working with neck width of 3.5. Then also the neck length of 4 inches. So you connect it like this. All right. So you come to the shoulder slant. You come down by 1 inch. You connect it. Those of you that have been following me will observe I usually show you my drafting. I must show you my drafting. And so if you have been following me for quite some time now, you would have been used to the basic pattern, because the basic is the foundation of every style, every fashion style. The basic, very important. So I added my sewing allowance here. All right. So for the shoulder, length, and for the armhole length, I usually make use of my shoulder divided by 2 for my shoulder length. Okay. So which means whatever I measure here is what I'll also measure here. So I'm also making use of 7.5 inch. Okay. Then I'll make sure it is straight. Dividing my shoulder into 2 for the armhole length has been working for me. So I don't know about others, but it has been working for me. So I stick to this for now. All right. So now we need to get the center of our shoulder, of our armhole length. We measure 7.5. So the middle will be 3.75. So on the middle, you come in by half inch so that you get your curve, your armhole curve properly. So first of all, I will need to straighten my lines for the armhole. So then I'll connect this point here and here together using the armhole curve. All right, so here we have. So we'll move to our dart. So the dart will be on the waistline. For your dart, you have to measure your nipple to nipple and you divide it by 2. So the nipple to nipple, which is the bust span, is 8 inches. Divided by 2, we have 4 inches. So I'll mark my 4 inches here. And I also come to the bust line and mark my 4 inches as well. And also I'll come to the knee line and to the hip line and mark my 4 inches as well. All right, so I'll need to connect these 3 lines together. But before I connect it together, on the bust line, you come down by 1 inch. So this is where our that will be starting from. Then on the hip line, you come up by 2 inches. So this is where our that is stopping. All right, so I'll connect the lines together now. Basically, I'm just teaching you the basic pattern. This is for those that doesn't know the basic pattern. It's the foundation of every fashion style. All right. So also we move to the waistline. Now you come back to the waistline to get your that leg. So on both sides you mark half inch like this on both sides. Then you connect it. All right. So we will now move to marking our circumference measurement. All right. So before we go to our circumference measurement, I'll start with my armhole. I'm working with round armhole of 19 inches. So I'll divide it by 2, which is 9.5. So I'll measure it, the armhole round, 9.5, and I'll mark it. So now come to my waistline. I'll measure my waist. Round waist of 38 inches. Divided by 4, we have 9.5. As well, 9.5. After marking your 9.5, you are supposed to add, return this 1 inch will be removing. And we'll be removing this that. And I'm supposed to add it back. But I will not be adding it back. The reason is that I'll be making use of a stretchy material. Look at it. I'll be making use of a stretchy material. Okay, that is why I will not be imputing that. I'm only drafting it for you to understand it. In case you are using a normal material and not a stretchy one. But I'm making use of a stretchy material, so I will not be adding the that. I'll not be imputing like that in it. All right, so that is why I'll leave it at 9.5. Okay, so we'll connect it. So we'll move to the hip line. I'm working with round hip of 44 inches. Divided by 4, that is 11 inches. 11 inches. Then we'll also come to the um full length. This is the full length. I marked, whatever I marked there, I'll remove 1.5 inch from it. So I mark 11 inches minus 1.5, that is 9.5. So I'll have to measure 9.5 here on the full length because I'm drafting a gown, a pencil gown. So I'll be connecting it like this. So at this point, we add our sewing allowance. So you're supposed to add sewing allowance of 1 inch. But because I'm making use of a stretchy material, I'll only be using half-inch sewing allowance. So I'll add my sewing allowance half-inch. So we have our basic pattern already. At the hemming line, you can add 2 inches sewing allowance, 1 inch sewing allowance, but it's advisable for you to use 2 inches sewing allowance. So now, looking at the style, we have a yoke. We have a yoke. So our yoke will be on the bust. So this is our yoke here. This is what we are going to be using our yoke. So I'll be using another material for this yoke and another material for the body. I highlighted what we have done. All right. Then also the yoke, I want to bring it down a bit. I want to make the yoke straighten, align the yoke with the armhole. So I'm going to straighten it here so that we can have this as our yoke. So here is our yoke. So this is what we are working on, and we'll also move to the back now. Now for the back, this is my starting point. This is my shoulder. This is the back waist, and this is the front waistline. Because I needed to explain this because I noticed some of us are still finding it difficult to understand this area. So this is the length. You know, the waist of the back is always shorter than the front. So this is the back waist, and why this is the front waist. So for you to know what you will do on the back waist and what you do on the front waist. This is the hip and this is the full length. But before that, we need to impute our zipper line. All right, so I'm making use of 1 inch for the zipper line. So what I did is I ruled 1 inch for the zipper line, but I did not finish it up. I leave the waistline open because of the manipulation we want to do. All right, so for the waistline, to get your zipper line, we will not be imputing the manipulation on the front waist. We'll be doing it on the back waistline. So you come in here by 1 inch, by half-inch first, sorry, by half-inch. So this very half-inch, I will now connect it to the starting point here and the starting point here. So this half-inch we went in is our real starting point for the back, for the waistline. So I'll be connecting it like this because what we are trying to do is creating the shape. We are following the shape of a human back. Remember, our back is not straight. So that is why we need to do this. If you know this is helpful for you, please remember to like, share, and drop a comment so I will know the impact of what I am doing. Okay, so after we have removed all this now, will be removing it. We are removing it. So now this is our starting point. You can see our starting point line is not straight now. Okay, so then to align the rest, we are having 1 inch for our sewing our zipper allowance. So I'll make sure I now mark out my 1 inch here too at the waistline. Then I'll align it with with the rest. So I'll align it like this. In my previous video, I've not taken time to explain this aspect. So I found it very necessary for me to explain it in this very video. So remember, if this is helpful for you, if you know this, you've learned something new now, please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and drop it in the comment section to notify me that it was helpful. Okay, so now this is our zipper line for the back. This is our zipper line for the back, right? So now we'll start with our proper measurement. Round shoulder of 15 divided by 2, 7.5 plus half inch sewing allowance, 8 inches. Then we are working with neck width of 3.5, and the neck length for the back is 1.5. So you connect it. So you come down here at the shoulder, slope by 1 inch, and you connect it. And add your sewing allowance immediately. Add half inch sewing allowance. So I'll be adding half inch sewing allowance for you to view it properly. So this is my half inch sewing allowance. Okay, so then now for the armhole, you come down by 7.5 inch, like I explained at the front. You connect, then make sure it is straight. For the back armhole, you don't need to make a deep curve. Just connect it like so. All right. So now we impute our dart. Our dart, we are going to impute it on the back length, back waistline, not on the front. So it's on the back one. The only thing we'll be doing for the front waistline is when we are measuring our circumference measurement. So for the back waistline, you measure your 4 inches. Then from the shoulder line, you measure 9 inches downward. Mark it. So that is where your dart will be starting from. You start from either 9 inches or 10 inches from your shoulder line. Okay, and it ends at 2 inches before your hip line. So there are different methods, but that is one of it, how to calculate it. Okay, so you also measure your 4 inches here. So this is where it is starting from. And you come to the hip line and measure your 4 inches as well. But remember, you'll be going up by 2 inches, by 1 inch or 2 inches. So let me use 1 inch here. So I'll take my measurement 4 inches. All right, so then I'll come back to the waistline and take out my dart leg, half inch here on both sides. Then I'll connect. I'm just taking out my time to explain the dart and the waistline in this video or in this tutorial. All right, so after taking the dart, after taking your dart, we'll go to our circumference measurement. Armhole of 19 inches divided by 2, 9.5. I usually make use of my armhole as my guide, and it works for me. Okay, so the round waist of 38 inches, which is 9.5. So I'm going to measure that on the front waistline, not on the back. So 9.5. Like I said, I'm supposed to return this 1 inch dart here, but I will not return it because of the stretchy material I'm using. Okay, so come to the hip. Round hip of 44 divided by 4, that's 11 inches. So connect this first. So we move to the full length. We measured 11 inches here, remember? 11 inches. So I'll remove 1.5 inch from it, which will be 9.5. That's what we'll be measuring on this full length. Remember, it's a pencil gown. So at this point, I'll have my sewing allowance of half inch. Like I said, the normal one should be 1 inch, but because of the stretchy material I'm using, so I'm using half inch sewing allowance. Also need to mark out my yoke here because the back will be having a yoke. And like I said, is I align it with the armhole. I align it with the armhole length. So this is what we are having as our yoke. This is our yoke. Why this is our body. And what I'll be using this material, and it's also a very stretchy material. You can see that it's very stretchy. You can see. So I'm also using a stretchy material. So I'll be using this material for the sleeve and for the yoke. All right. So let's begin. The length of our sleeve is 22. So I'll mark out 22. 22. I'll be adding 1 inch. So to make it 23. I don't know if you see this line. Probably you'll be able to see this. So 20. We are marking out 23. So I'll mark out where our 22 is. I just hope you are seeing this line because the material is stretchy, and you know stretchy material is difficult to work with. All right, so I'll mark out our bicep line of 5 inch. 5 inch. All right, so then I'll get the middle of this 5 inch, which is 2.5. I'll also mark that out. Okay, so then also the round biceps is at 16 inches. So we are going to divide it by 2, which is 8 inches. So I'll measure 8 inches here. Then plus sewing allowance of 1 inch, or you can make use of half inch. So now the biceps, round biceps is 8 inches. So I'll divide that by the 16 divided by 2 is 8 inches. So I'll have to get the middle of this 8 inch, which is 4 inch, and I will rule that upward. So which means this is our center point for everything. This is our center point. Okay. And also I also need to mark out my um elbow line. That's my short sleeve, my elbow line, which is 10 inch. Just follow the measurements we are taking. All right, so I'll come back to this center point and connect it. So which means just take your curve ruler and shape it like this to get your curve. Then you curve it down, or you use your ruler this way. I just hope you are seeing this line. The material is very difficult to work with. That's why it's not showing. Okay. So on my elbow line, my elbow line is my round elbow, I mean, is 12 inches. So divided by 2 is 6 inches. So which means I'll be connecting. All right, let's add a sewing allowance of 1 inch. So I'll connect them like this. Then from the elbow down to the wrist, it's wider, like a ball shape, like a bell shape. So I'm going to slant it and make this hemming line, the wrist line to be wider. Okay, so here we have it. and I'll be cutting it. So here is our sleeve, and I'll be cutting the second one in the same way. So let me show you all of our cutting. I've cut everything out. This is our front yoke. These are front yoke, and I added ½ inch for the sewing allowance. Here is our back yoke. Here is our back yoke. I added sewing ½ inch sewing allowance. I'll be using this to tape the M line of the gown. This is our sleeve. I have the two of them here. Then here is the front panel of our gown. So you can see it is the exact, and I added ½ inch sewing allowance here for the joining, which I'll be using to join it back with the yoke. And here is our back. And I also added ½ inch here for the joining, ½ inch here for the joining. So let's move to the sewing. So for the sewing, this is our back. I'll be starting with the back. All right, so what we'll be doing now is this. I'll open it up like this. Then I'll pick up my yoke for the back as well. So I will be joining the yoke with the body. So here is it. Just like this. I'll join it. I'll join it here too. After joining it, then I will join the two together, leaving a space for my slits. I'll be leaving like 5 inches for the slits, and like 7 inches for the slits, and also after joining it together, I'll leave space for the slits, and also I'll be adding my zipper to it. So let's do this. After joining it, this is what we have. All right. So make sure your yoke align, as you can see it here. Then also after adding my zipper, you can see the bobbing out of the zipper. So to control this or to avoid this, you have two options. The first thing is for you to add at the sewing allowance before you join it. At the sewing allowance, just add your interfacing. You can use paper stay, you can use A stay, but A stay preferably. Okay, so that is the first option. You add your interfacing to the hemming line, like the hemming line, then you extend it by 1 inch also, so that by the time you fold it, it will cover up. Okay, so that is an option. Another option is what I'm going to do now. Right? You straighten your zipper, straighten it in the way you want it to look like, you want it to be. Then you put hemming gum underneath your sewing allowance. Underneath your sewing allowance, like you see me do now. I chose this method because it's going to give me a neat finishing, and I'm going to obtain two purposes. The first is I'll stabilize my zipper and also my sewing allowance, because it is a stretchy material. I'll be able to give it a neat look, like as if it is a non-stretching fabric. Okay, so that is why I chose this method. But there are times I'll use the other method if I'm sewing Ankara or a stable material. Okay, so I'll choose the other method. So you can see the way it is now. Then I'll place my iron on it like this. So here is it. I've ironed it. You can see. You see what we are having. So this is how to control your back waist. Look at the front. Look at the way it is. Straight and flat. Straight and flat. So I've taught you the two methods. You can use any one at any point in time. Okay. So at this point, we move to the front. So here we have the front. I'll also go ahead here to add to join my yoke with it as well. Okay, so this is it. Then I'll pick up my yoke. Here is my yoke. I'll open the yoke up and align it. But most importantly, get the center of this yoke. Get the center and notch it. You get the center of this material too, and you notch it. So by the time you want to join it, you make sure the center aligns. Center to center. So here we have it. Center to center Then you stitch. You can start your stitch from the middle, center down here, center down here. So I've joined the front. Then I forgot to mention that once you iron a stretchy material, you need to reconfirm your measurements to make sure your measurements are not altered. All right. So I just reconfirmed mine and I trimmed out the excess. So this is the back and the front on top of each other, and I've trimmed it out. Okay. So here is the front that we joined earlier. So here is it. So at this point, we'll be joining the front and the back together. That is why I need to reconfirm the measurement before the joining. Okay. So I'm going to be joining it at the shoulder. I'll be joining it at the shoulder line and at the side as well. I'll be joining it like that, okay? Then after joining it, I will now use bias to tape the neckline. So I've stitched it, and this is the neckline I decided to use the material itself to form the neckline. So I didn't use bias anymore. All right, so at this stage, the only thing left is to fix our armhole and our sleeve, I mean. So for the sleeve, this is our sleeve. So to fix our sleeve, you need to open it up. Then the white part at the down part, we will be making gathers on it. So how do you do your gathers? Just stitch on it, just the way you open it now. Make stitch, two stitch, the first line and the second line. But you are going to be sewing on the highest stitch level of your machine. So some machine have 5, some have 6. All right, so you just pick the highest one, turn it to the highest one, and you stitch on a straight line, and you make it to be two lines. After that, this is what I have done here. You may not be able to see it because I use a matching thread. So this is it. I don't know if you can see this thread now. So I'll pick the thread. I'll be having 2 thread at the front and 2 at the back. So I'll pick the thread, either the 2 at the front or the 2 at the back. Then I'll pull. So I'll keep pulling and I'll shift it. Okay, so I've done this other side. So it's meeting at the middle. Okay, so once you have gotten your required length, you stop. For the second one, I've measured it and this is the length I want. So once I am able to get the same length, then I'm okay. Okay, so at this point, I'm okay. All right, so I will go to the machine and stitch it with my normal stitch length, probably 1 or 2 or 3. Okay, so once you stitch it once across where you gathered, it will be stable. So after you are done with your gathers, whatever you want to use to tape it, you place it on it like this. For me, I'm using the fabric itself since that is what I use for the neckline. All right, so place it on it like this and make sure whatever you're using to tape is the measurement you need at your wrist. Okay, so place it on it and stitch it together. After stitching it, you turn it over like this and you fold. You double fold and you stitch, you top stitch. You double fold and you top stitch. This is what you'll be doing all the way down. And this is what you'll be getting after you follow due process. All right, so after doing this now, I'll go ahead and stitch my sleeve on the side. I'll join them on the side. Then I'll attach it to the gown. Lovely people, this is our end result. If you can watch to this stage, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in my next video.